Namaste, friends. Namaste to all of you, and welcome to our Viniyoga Unplugged. Namaste to all of you, and welcome to our Viniyoga Unplugged. Namaste to all of you, and welcome to our Viniyoga Unplugged. Let's begin with the invocation chant. Om Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Dhyayet Sarvavighnopashantaye Yasya Dviradavatradyah Parishadhyah Parashatam Veghnane Satatam Vishwaksenam Tamashraye Jnananandamayan Devam Nirmalaspatikakritim Adharam Sarvavidyanam Hayagreevamupasmahi Pundarikaasanasinam Pandurabhrindusannibham Akhanda Bodhajanakam Hayagreevam Upasmahi Gurubhyastadgurubhyascha Namo Vakamadhimahi Vranimahi Chatatradyo Dampati Jagatam Pati Srinagaryam Mahaparyam Tamraparnyuttare Tate Shri Tintrini Mooladhamne Shathakopaya Mangalam Needatungasthanagiri Suptamudbodhya Krishnam Pararthyam Swam Shruti Shatashirasiddhamadhyapayanti Swacheshtayam Srajani Galitaya Balatkritya Bhungte Godatasya Nama Idamidam Bhoya Evastu Bhoyaha Jayatu Jayatu Natho Nyayatattva Praneta Jayatu Jayatu Yogi Yoga Gokya Pravakta Jayatu Jayatu Sakshat Tattvadarshi Maharshi Jayatu Jayatu Bhaktir Mulakandam Munindraha Swadhayanniha Sarveshan Trayantartham Sudurgram Stotrayamasa Yogindraha Tam Vande Yamunakwayam Yo Nityamachyuta Padambuja Yugma Rukma Vyamohitastaditarani Trinaya Mene अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्य कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदा हृदि। श्रीकृष्ण ब्रह्मतन्त्रोत्तम गुरु करुणावाप्तचक्रङ्क भाष्यम् वैराग्याचारवार्धौ वरद पदमुखे लक्ष्मणे न्यस्तभारम् श्रीवागीशात्ततुर्यं शाठारेपो यतिराड्वेदचूडार्यमूर्तिम् नोत्तं श्रीरङ्गनाथं कालेरेपो मनघं ब्रह्मतन्त्रं श्रयामः। श्रीमन्नूतनरङ्गनाथ यतिराट् आप्तात्मविद्यालयम् श्रीमन्नूतनलक्ष्मणार्य यतिराट् सम्प्राप्ततुर्याश्रमम् श्रीवासेन्द्रकटाक्षसन्ततसुधा लक्ष्यात्मयोगाश्चितम् श्रीमन्नूतनवागधीशयमिनं भक्त्याश्रयामो गुरुम्। श्रीकृष्णवागीशयतेश्वराभ्यां सम्प्राप्तचक्राङ्कणभाष्यसारम् श्रीनोत्नरङ्गेन्द्रयतौ समर्पितस्वम् श्रीकृष्णमार्यं गुरुवर्यमीडे विरोधे कार्तिके मासे शतताराकृतोदयम् योगाचार्यं कृष्णमार्यं गुरुवर्यमहं भजे। शिष्यकं कृष्णमार्यस्य नाथवंशप्रदीपकं कल्याणगुणरूपन्तं श्रीदेशिकन्नमाम्यहम्। ॐ लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मद् आचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ नमामि नारायणपादपङ्कजं करोमि नारायणभोजनं सदा वदामि नारायणनामनिर्मलं स्मरामि नारायणतत्त्वमव्ययम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Namaste, dear friends. Namaste. So we are in the 11th meeting of this year, in the 11th month, and looks like we are actually having this. The plan is perfect, even though it is not our plan. I just wanted to have this meeting before December starts, and the only date that was free for me was the 29th of November today, where we are meeting. And the topic we are doing is about Santosha. And coincidentally, this morning started seeing my phone started exploding with so many notifications of what is called the Black Friday sales. So it's so fascinating that the plan is perfect that we are going to talk about Santosha on a day where there is the promotion of opposite of Santosha, the materialism. So my phone is literally exploding with so many offers, with emails, with notifications, what is called push notifications. And literally it is a push because they are really pushing each of us to buy all these products. Push, push, push. The only push way I would like to engage in is Yo Pam Pushpam Veda. Anyway, so Santosha is the second of the niyamas presented by Maharshi Patanjali, Santosha. The word Santosha comes from the root tushti. Tushti means to feel quenched or to feel satisfied. And Santosha means that we feel fully satisfied, we feel fully quenched. Now, normally, when do we get this feeling? Like when we are so desperate and thirsty, we want water, we want water, we want water. It is so dry, it is so hot, and our throat is fully dry. And we take a sip of water, we just fully swallow the, you know, uh, water, then we start to feel quenched. That is the feeling of santosha. So I think this is where the word santosha comes in. It's the feeling of being quenched, feeling of satisfaction, what we can call a feeling of contentment, whether we have things or not have things. This is the feeling of santosha. So I get the feeling that some of you are complaining about the sound. I don't know. Uh, I hope it's working because I am using the microphone here. So I don't know why it is. Some of you feel it's soft, but let me know if it's working well. Good. Some of you say it's okay. All well. All in Santosha. Namaste. So please check your computers. So the word santosha, that's getting the meaning, deriving the meaning from the feeling of being quenched. Now this is very important because sometimes even though we drink that water when we are thirsty, we don't feel quenched. We want more. We are further thirsty. Then we want some more water, then we take some more, then we are further thirsty, etc. Because the fire burns all the fuel it's given and wants more. So that's why in the Vedic philosophy, we are saying that the reason for lack of santosha is because it's not because there is a lack of objects that we have, but it's because of the desire fire, the fire of desire, what is called raga agni, is too strong. It is so strong that we want more and more and more. This is exactly what's happening today worldwide on this so-called Black Friday sales. I don't even like that name, Black Friday, because it has very bad association with the slave times, where the slaves used to be sold on Fridays of this month, and it's got very bad association. I think it's something which is not got a good history, but somehow they call it this way, even here in Singapore and Asia. And this day is about buying and buying and buying more products. So we have become consumers, we are not enjoyers of things. Whereas if we become enjoyers, we feel satisfied with that thirst, then we will be happy with lust. Because when you are very thirsty, you don't need to drink lots of water to quench your thirst. If you drink a little bit of water slowly and slowly, your thirst will be quenched. If you drink lots and lots of water, you will feel bloated and heavy and sometimes not even able to move very well. And if you start moving with that, you may even vomit what you just drank. So this is where the word santosha comes from, the feeling of satisfaction, the feeling of being quenched. That's why we usually translate it as contentment, to be content. It does not mean a lack of ambition, my dear friends. It means to be satisfied or content with the outcome of actions that we take, because not all actions will go according to how we are wanting, how we want. And we just need to accept it and change it. We need to be grateful for one way or another. And we will come back to this topic a little while later, because I have some ideas about this. Because contentment is also connected to gratitude, and we'll come to that. So, santosha is so important in the spiritual path and in actually us being a better person. So, one of the things that I want to share it with you is two aspects of santosha. One is how to practice santosha on the mat, and another is how to practice santosha off the mat. Now, santosha on the mat is also very, very important, especially in today's stupid world of yoga, because most yoga places have become competitive, as if it's a competition. And some of you will be happy because the next set of frequently asked questions, which is coming in the future, is about yoga as a competition. So we have explored 5 different topics on this. So you will understand this. So yoga has become very, very competitive. So each one is comparing how their posture is with regard to other people, or how their pranayama is, breath is as long or as short as other people is, etc., etc. All that is absolutely wrong. So santosha in the mat is essentially um, accepting our current level or status of practice, how our body is today. Accept it. If you are better off than yesterday, great. If you are not better off than yesterday, okay, accept it and see what you can do to improve it, rather than pushing yourself or rather than comparing it with other people. And this creates lots of problems. And because body is not the same all the time, we change our bodies. So flexibility changes, our body's elasticity changes, our bones become older, the density of the bones changes. So there's the hormones change, and these are all things that causes different experiences of our practice. All that is fine as long as the attitude is good in practice. We should practice it in the good spirit and with a sense of contentment and gratitude. And this is something that I actually wrote about. I started to write some topics that came as inspirations after my morning meditation, and one of them is related with this. Patanjali talks about this in the topic of adara. Adara asevito drida bhumihi. When Patanjali talks about practice, the word adara is very strongly emphasized. And very often, many people misinterpret this as I must do the practice. I must do the practice. And this creates a sense of, I would say, ego and a sense of narcissism in this, or a wrong attitude towards this. Now, if we can combine this with gratitude and gratefulness or contentment in this, we can shift adara to become, I'm so grateful I'm able to practice today. because so many people are unable to practice, not necessarily because of physical or physiological restrictions, but because of responsibility. Sometimes there are some people who have like 5 children. They have to send them off to school in the morning. They don't have time. Then they have to go to job to like earn money to support these 5 children. And then they come back home very exhausted and they live very far away from their home. They are unable to practice. Whereas if you are able to practice even 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that's a luxury. Because I can guarantee you, if you take the population of the world, there is not so many people who are even able to practice. I mean, there are some people now living in the war environment, literally as we are speaking, waiting for bombs to come on their heads or whatever. They can't think about practice. So how luxurious we are that we can practice. So it doesn't matter whether we are appearing perfect in the practice, that is of no consequence. What is important is that we feel grateful that we are able to practice. So accept your level of practice on that day, because this is very, very important aspect of our spiritual path. And the other thing I would also say, practice on the mat, is stay in the present moment. Don't look at your past, don't look at your future, because the past is and the future is not reality. It's expectations or memories and things like that. Often we are wondering how we will be in 6 months time. You don't have control over it, because you don't even have control over what will happen in about a day or 2 days time. I mean, this is really tragic, because this is reality of life. I mean, some of you know, one of my yoga brothers, Sharat, the grandson of Sri Pattabhi Jois, passed away at 53, very, very young age, unexpectedly. I mean, who would have thought that is happening? But that is the reality of life. We can go anytime just like that. So don't worry about the future. And don't worry about the past, because we cannot change the past. Oh, I was so flexible in the past. Okay, good for you. I was not flexible in the past. Okay, good for you. You can't change that. What you can focus on is this present moment and nothing else. And that's why the best way to practice Santosha is focus on the breathing. Just be grateful for every breath that you are able to take during your asana pranayama practices. Stay with your breath and just feel grateful for that. That is the best form of santosha. And I can tell you, my dear friends, from my own personal experience of practicing asanas, when you have this attitude, on the days when I have this attitude, even my asana practice is better. Whereas on other days when I'm not so present, the asana practice becomes worse. And that's why santosha is so important. And the only thing about this is that present moment is what matters. And this is where I said the concept of gratitude comes in with uh, santosha. Santosha can be understood as gratitude. And here, what we can do is, if you are staying in the present moment, accept whatever you have, whatever you can do with grace, with gratitude, saying, oh, I'm so grateful, I can do that. Now, if you cannot, if you don't have these things in the past, you cannot change the past. Feel grateful for the lesson that you have learned from the past and accept it. That's another way to have gratitude, is be grateful for the lesson from the past, because sometimes what you expect may not turn out the way you are doing it. Like for me, I made lots of errors of judgment of, at small levels and at big levels. Now, I can't go back and reverse history. I can only focus on present moment, what I can do now. So I'm grateful for that lesson, because I've opened my eyes and say, okay, this is a lesson I can learn. This is a lesson I can learn. So we focus on that. Now, in this, I would say that we can have like three domains of uh, uh, 3 moments where you can practice gratitude. Just 3 moments in a day, if you can practice That is very, very, very effective. The first thing which we could practice is to practice gratitude the moment you wake up. Normally, our instinct is to grab the phone or look at the computer when we wake up. I have been a victim of that myself. I've done that in the past myself. But recently, I've shifted that. I've started a new samskara. Rather than do that, I switch on my very, very old style mechanical coffee machine, which takes about 10 minutes to brew. And while that 10 minutes it's brewing, I sit in my sofa and I do my gratitude practice. Thank the things that you are grateful for in that present moment, that you are even alive, for example, that you are able to breathe, that you are having a food and shelter in your above your head, things like that. Be grateful for small things, but feel that in your heart. Don't just make it a lip service. You have to feel that gratitude. So do it one time in the morning, immediately when you wake up. And this is also better for our mind and brains rather than to go into the digital technology immediately, to actually do some things that are like meditation, prayer. That's why the ancient people always talked about doing meditation and practices in the early morning rather than later, because the mind also is attuned to this. Then the second moment I would suggest you to practice gratitude or santosha is just before you eat. Be grateful that you have food on the table, because there are so many people, and I can guarantee you, my friends, I'm coming from a country like India where there's millions of people who do not have access to clean food. We are so privileged to have food on our table. So every time you have a meal, just feel grateful for the fact that you have a meal. And now think about all the poor people in the war zones where they don't have food, and literally some countries are starving them by blocking food and aid to come to them. Imagine their situation, how desperate they must be. Compared to that, we are so privileged that we can have a clean, healthy plate of food in front of us. Be grateful for that. This is another way to practice santosha. And the third time in the day is just before you go to sleep. Take a few moments to be grateful for all the things that happened that day. Every day we have good things happen to us. And every day we also have things that are not so good, that are unexpected or challenging that happens to us. Be even grateful for those challenges. Be even grateful for those challenges by learning the lessons from those challenges. Some of these challenges are adhyatmika. We create ourselves. Some of them are the bhautika. Others create for us. Some of them are the daivika. It's natural phenomena that create these difficulties. Accept it. What can you learn from it? So be grateful for the lessons, because those lessons are very important. So this is what I do, and I would recommend you to do. Practice 3 times at least every day for a few moments only. 1-2 minutes are more than enough. If you start doing it, you will see the benefits of this practice. You yourself will naturally extend it to a few more minutes. Please do that. Then we talked about consumption, right? Black Friday today. Learn to enjoy things and not just consume things. So be an enjoyer of things, not a consumer of things. This is very difficult because we are living in a society that is led by consumerism. It's not at all easy. I agree with you. It's very challenging. But learn to enjoy the things that you have. Cherish what you have. start using it. And one way to do that is bless the things that you buy, give it a name, give it a meaning so that it forms a bond with you. And start using things in an enjoyable way rather than just in a consumption way. Don't be a consumer or a collector, be an enjoyer. Recently, I read a report that was published that said that we, in human beings, we are usually using only 20% of our wardrobe regularly. So some of us who have this problem, we need to reflect about what we do with the 80%, whether it's the shoes that you have in your house, or you have clothes that you have, or products that you have. 20% only we are actually using. Imagine if you can just enjoy that 20%, why do you need the rest 80%? This is the question. And that's the problem. And this is where we get into this trap. So start to become enjoyers and not consumers. Let's work on this, because we become consumers or collectors rather than enjoyers. And this is also where I think the concept of dana comes in. Generosity. Be great, be generous. Another way to practice santosha is offer. If it's okay, you want to buy new things, fine. But as you get new things, give away old things, an equal number or more. This is very, very important. This is very, very important. I think now my my helper in the house, her son has a problem because he has inherited so many of my t-shirts. I think he needs a bigger wardrobe now, and he probably is not using 80% of his wardrobe now. So this is what is called dana, generosity. But the dana should be sattvika type. That means give without expectations. Give without even the expectation of thank you from somebody back. It's a very important thing. My mate comes from Myanmar, in a very, very difficult family circumstance. And there is a lot of, as you know, there's a lot of violence in the country. And she's one of those persons who's kind of like a refugee here. So she escaped and started living here to work. Now, whenever I give her some things like this, she doesn't even know how to say thank you. And it doesn't irritate me for one bit. I say, okay, here is it. She says, okay. And she takes the bag and just goes. And this is very, very important. Don't expect a thank you, or oh, you're so kind, you're so welcome. That is a disease of the luxurious and the privileged. It is a disease. Do not do that, because if you do that, you are having a bloody expectation. And only rich countries suffer from this disease. Poor people, simple people do not suffer from this disease. So sattvika dana is very, very important. So give without any expectation, including an acknowledgement of gratitude that, oh, thank you so much. If they don't do it, no problem, accept it. Another way to practice santosha is acceptance. One of the problems we all human beings has, which I also have had very strongly in the past, to a smaller degree now, but it still persists, this disease, is the concept of analyzing things. We don't accept things as they happen to us. We always analyze why it went wrong, what happened, how can we fix this, what the hell to do, blah, 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 blah. Now, the reality is we just need to accept it, because we cannot control everything in this world. And this is a problem for all of us. I suffer from this from time to time now. Before, I was suffering from it excessively, because I always used to start to wonder what went wrong. Why did it go wrong? Why did I do what wrong did I do? I didn't do anything wrong, blah, blah, blah. This is a typical reaction of victimhood. Sometimes all we need to do is just accept it. Okay, it didn't work according to our plan, so be it. Let's see what we can learn from it and Just move on, because the future has already arrived, because this is the past. Acceptance, not analyzing everything that happens. This is very, very difficult, but we need to do, because we all want to fix things. And this is also some problem that I have with some of my students. I'm in a very grateful situation, because most of the students I teach are teachers. They are not necessarily the common public. And sometimes when I mix with the common public, it's such a relief, actually. My students are more difficult than the common people, because my students who are teachers, they think that they are bloody teachers. They are there to talk and fix and blah, 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 lecture and advise. Sometimes if I share some things, it's only because I want to share, not because I want a solution or that problem to be fixed. So that's the same thing we have to start doing with everybody. Just because somebody shares something, it doesn't mean that they even want our opinion, that they want to fix that problem or whatever. Sometimes they just want to share. Just accept it. Don't analyze it. Don't try to fix it. It may not be your responsibility. So just start having this attitude of acceptance. Acceptance is a form of santosha, which brings us to the next idea, where we need to replace one wrong mantra with one right mantra, one appropriate mantra. The, the consumer mantra is, I want more. I want more money. I want more success. I want more things. I want more products. We need to replace that with, I have enough. Instead of wanting more, we need to replace with, I have enough. This is very, very difficult, very, very difficult, because we are designed to live in this consumerist society, and all the costs are going up and up and up, and it is always wanting more and more money to buy more and more things, to impress all the more and more fake followers we have on Instagram and Facebook, who don't even care a damn about our life, but that is what we do. So this is why Santosha is also saying, I have enough. It's not easy, my dear friends, because we have been brainwashed by all the advertising companies that we need to have more. There's no company in this planet that is telling us buy less. Everybody says buy more. There is no company that says buy less. Even all the products that are supposedly cheaper, I used to convince myself that, oh, I'm buying in Uniqlo, which is a very cheap Japanese brand. But then I thought that when I start realizing the pattern, I say, oh, it's cheap. So you take 3 or 4 t-shirts rather than just one, because it's cheap. And then you end up buying 4 t-shirts instead of just one because it's cheap. So this is the counter effect it has on us, counter to santosha. This is like absolute raga. And the problem with things like raga and dvesha is they possess us. Raga and dvesha are the work of the devil. They possess us. And it's very difficult to free ourselves from that. And that is why we need to practice the mantra, I have enough. So let us start making this mantra, I have enough. And if it's working for you, great. I appreciate you all for having that. But if you don't have this, don't beat yourself. Just try harder. Just say, I have enough. It's okay. Whether it's with things or friends or whatever in life. Whatever in life, I used to think that I did not have enough time with my father because he died very young. But then I realized that I'm very grateful that I had enough time with my father to learn so many amazing things, much more than most of his so-called long-term students, because they only spent part of the year with him rather than the whole year. I was so lucky. So it's like I have enough, even in spiritual things, in material things and spiritual things. The santosha is very good because, as I said, raga, dvesha, etc., are the work of the devil. The spirit takes over, is taken over by something which is not right. And spiritual path is fighting these demons so that we are connecting to light. And it's sometimes very fascinating because you will see that when you are dark, people appreciate you because their darkness resonates with you. But when you come into your light, they start finding fault with you because your light does not resonate with their darkness. And that is, they get agitated. So sometimes you have situations where people will be able to accept you if you are dark, but not necessarily if you are light and bright. And this is very, very complicated. And when I say this, I have enough, it's a very, very difficult challenge. Because every time you say you have enough, the universe will test you. The universe will test you. It's so fascinating. It's so fascinating. Whenever I say I have enough, then suddenly, things come. Like even recently, I had to buy some incense from Korea and bring to here because I found some very nice incense last time. I said, "Oh, I got these 2 boxes. It's enough." And then next destination, I come to China, and all my students are giving me incense box after incense box after incense box. The universe is giving me, like, now I have 8 boxes of incense, which is enough to last me like 2 years. But I think it will get spoiled in 2 years. So I have to find a sattvic way to give away this incense or burn everything, every hour so that it's consumed. But this universe will test you when you say, I have enough. And this is the work of the devil. That's why I said, one time you fall into the trap again, you are finished. That's why even in recovery, when they talk about Alcoholic Anonymous and things like that, they say one glass is too many. So even one glass of alcohol for a recovering alcoholic is too many. So the same way when we say enough, we have to mean it that it's enough. The last thing I want to say is, one of the reasons we don't have santosha is because we are always looking at what we don't have. My father always used to say, people are looking at the glass that is half empty. Now, what we need to do is to focus on the glass that is half full. We all have very good things in our life going on, meaningful things in our life going on. There's nobody who only has bad things going on. Even the poorest persons who are now in the war zone, they are still breathing. They have something going on for them. They can be grateful for that. That little gratitude is enough sometimes. So focus every day on the useful and meaningful things that you have in this life. Do not focus on what is not available. I mean, it can be an ambition, but do not get consumed by that, because the precious things in our life are much more valuable, even though they are very small, than those grand things that are not available in our life. A big pizza on a neighbor's table is not valuable to us. A small slice of pizza is more valuable if it is in front of us than a huge pizza on somebody else's table. So focus on the meaningful things, which could be small things, like you have a little family, you have a little house, great. You have little food, great. rather than all the big things that we dream of or we want to have but we don't have, which is realistic for all of us. We all have ambitions and wishes. I do too. I mean, I do too. But there are also many good things going on in our life, and this is what we need to focus on. And this is where the santosha in daily life is so important. Focus on the meaningful small things that you do have. Because if we are not appreciating this, we will also lose this. And when we start having santosha, that is why Vyasa is saying, Santoshat anuttamaha sukhalavaha. The Sutra Patanjali says, Vyasa is commenting on that, saying, a person who has santosha is 16 times more happy than the person who is in heaven. Imagine, person who is in heaven is supposed to be the most happy because he or she is with God in paradise. But the person in Santosha is 16 times more happy. I don't know how Vyasa made this calculation 16, but I think it's in India, it's just an exaggeration. Even though how some of you have been to India, if we say, oh, 2 minutes, it could mean 2 years, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years. It means a short amount of time. So if it's 16, it means a large amount of time. So in a modern language, you will say it's infinitesimally larger than whatever it is. So that's what it means. So santosha is the key to happiness, and lack of santosha is the key to unhappiness. It's not products that fill our heart and make us happy. It's santosha that fills our heart and make us happy. I've interacted with lots of very wealthy people who have so many things in their homes, in their lives, but they're not happy because santosha is not there. And I've also interacted with very, very poor people. And sometimes when I've done my photography trips in the past, we used to go into very, very poor areas of India to take photographs, and the people there are so happy with so little. It's the little things that make us happy, yet because santosha is not coming from products. And very often we try to fill the vacuum in our heart by buying products or buying things, and that is a way it will never work. So instead of putting in products in our life, start putting in santosha in our hearts. And please share this message with all your friends and students and whoever you can, so that we can build a more happier community in the world. Namaste, friends. Let us meet next month for our last meeting of this year before we enter the new year. And of course, next month we will talk about tapas. Namaste. We will end with a small chant. Om. Tacchayoravrinimahya Gata Yajnaya Gata Yajnapataye Daivi Swastirastuna Swastirmanushebhya Ordhvan Jigatu Bheshajam. Shanno asta dvepade Shanchatoshpade Om Shante Shante Shante. Namaste, friends.